get this started. So now it appears that Hurricane Chris went off on 50 Cent regarding him basically opening up shop down in Louisiana, the Shreveport area to be exact, opening up a new studio, having a lot of events and functions, and according to Hurricane Chris, he's not hiring local talent. And Hurricane Chris went off on 50. In other words, saying like, man, you disrespecting, you taking advantage, and you donated like $500,000 or gave $500,000 to the police department there locally, but you ain't did nothing for the people in the community. And 50 Cent, he responded basically saying like, bruh, you only got 2 hits, your music whack, I wouldn't play your shit anyway. And this is what I gotta say about that. And there's no right or wrong. Now let me explain. Because Hurricane Chris, to an extent, has a point. Now before I continue, this is not the first time I done heard this about 50 Cent. Actually, quite recently, indirectly from a notable person from that area has actually been mentioning it for the last week or two. And to 50's defense, other people from that area ain't necessarily agreeing. They don't necessarily feel the same way as Hurricane Chris and this other person I'm referencing. But let me get in. Let me go in. The thing is, well, it's a few things going on. It's a few levels to this. So I'm gonna try to break it down in a particular order, but then again, I'm just gonna say it as it comes. So, for one, the bottom line is, you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. So, although 50 is not obligated to do nothing for nobody, just like you ain't obligated to do nothing for nobody, other than your children. 50 ain't obligated. So, but at the same time, you would think that being that you're a successful brother and you understanding the condition that we in as a whole, that you would, okay, let me kick something back. I'm coming down here anyway. But again, he's not obligated. And another thing, to perhaps 50's defense, perhaps he did break bread with somebody. Well, we know he did with the police authority, according to Hurricane Chris. And that's not all the way good, because essentially, whether you know it or not, okay, you may think you broke bread with the right person, and all you broke bread with is probably the gatekeepers of that community. And you essentially kind of shut out everybody else because the person you broke bread with, who supposedly, or maybe is a reputable person from that area, got a stranglehold on it for their own reasons. See, so it's levels to this. Being that 50 ain't from there, and of course you can do your research. You can find out. And again, he could be possibly not even thinking that way, man. This is still business, y'all, and that's the issue. And you gotta understand the type of society we live in when it comes to the economic and capitalism, how the game work when it comes to for profit and exploitation, as I might add. And don't get me wrong, you may be paying somebody good money, so is that exploitation? I'm not really going down that deep of a rabbit hole, but I'm essentially saying that to say that, hey man, no different than any other company moving down to another area, buying stuff up, bringing business or not, or it could be taken as gentrification. So it's different ways you want to look at it. But again, this is not the first time I done heard this regarding 50 Cent and his business endeavors. Now again, do I think 50 got any type of ill intent behind it? Nah. Essentially, kind of like what Hurricane Chris said, I mean, it's no different than any business, man. That's the purpose of business, okay? It's the property is cheaper down there, so I'm gonna take some of that New York money and go down there, open up shop, have my studio or whatever it is he's doing down there. And I heard he had like a few events so far, But like Hurricane Chris said, you didn't have no local Louisiana artists. Now you would think that he would do that, but then again, 50 probably already had his own plan, the script written out. I'm gonna have my own people, not only just from the production level, but just even in front of the camera. Maybe these are artists that locked tied in with him contractually to an extent. Maybe a certain few venues, but again, this is another. Recently, even the comedian Luenell made a statement recently regarding 50. I guess he had some type of comedy jam or comedy tour or whatever. And I read the list. It was a lot of comedians. It was a lot of comedians, cool comedians. And just so happened it wasn't no females. So Luenell, she had an issue with that. Now, could it have been coincidentally? Like, hey man, it just happened to be no females. I got a lot of comedians because again, I looked at the list. It was a lot of comedians and it wasn't no females. And okay, one may think like, damn, out of all the people you picked, not one could have been female. Now I don't think that was on purpose regarding 50 behalf, but again, I don't know. I don't know the backdoor entertainment politics, if any. I don't know exactly what bruh 50 had in mind, but that is kind of like And then you got the Hurricane Chris saying it about the whole Shreveport situation. Then again, like I mentioned, I done heard it prior to that from a reputable person in that Shreveport area. But again, other people from that area don't feel the same way. So y'all let me know what y'all think, man. If you a successful person, you got money, and you want to open up shop in a new area, well, really it is good business to deal with the local people. So, but it all depends on what you doing, what you got in mind. But that's two people mentioning that, and Hurricane Chris feeling like, man, you just taking advantage because it's a smaller population. Cost of living is a lot cheaper. And again, 50 didn't respond to him not hiring local talent, as I put it. He just only responded to Hurricane Chris, from what I heard, just saying how weak he is. So, but y'all let me know. It's kind of, I look at it both ways, even though from a business perspective, that's just no different than any other business opening up shop in the area. But again, it is good business to deal with the people locally to get a better feel. Now, to 50's defense, he may already got his production people that been working for him. So hey, yeah, we just relocating down here. So all his employees he already got intact. But then again, you can still hire the local people for security or any other thing. I don't care, even, and I don't want to say no small task, but anything be out the scope of the actual production entertainment. So it can be janitorial, it can be parking attendants, it can be maybe some clerical positions of some sort, or maybe it could be part of the street team to promote. So I mean, it's definitely ways you can get creative and figure out jobs for people, but at the same time, being that this is business and it's capitalist, is all about for profit. So to the smart capitalist, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So it's, you know what I mean? And I can go down a rabbit hole in terms of the whole economic and the pros and cons, but this video is pretty much, I really want to get y'all feedback on that. Because again, you want something right, you got to do it yourself. So 50 don't owe nothing to nobody, but then again, in light of, hey man, we all in the same boat, like it or not. Like bruh saying in Drop Squad, the movie Drop Squad, I'm referencing when he tell bruh, and Drop Squad is an old school Spike Lee movie. Probably everybody need to see it. But again, I'm not accusing 50 of no sellout coonery. That ain't how I'm looking at it. I'm just, it's business, and that ain't even being cutthroat business. That's just kind of typical business. But it's no different than these other people's gentrifying areas. So Hurricane Chris and my other comrade, they they got some, definitely got some legitimate concerns. You know, I'm gonna keep it 100. But then again, man, it ain't, hey man, ain't nobody obligated to do nothing for nobody, especially if they ain't in their immediate family. And even then, you're not necessarily obligated. And I just want people to understand that. And that may be the whole moral of this video. If you want something done right, do it yourself. It's only one face on your ID. So at the end of the day, that's really all who you're responsible for. And of course, your kids.